This is Trophy, The Roots of Old Kalduhr, Part 2. We have not actually started any adventuring yet, and we're going to be doing that today. We will not have Rob's character today because it's Rob's birthday, and he's spending time with his real family. And so we will press forward with our well, I guess there's going to be six of you, three treasure hunters and three hirelings. We will meet the other hireling along and catch up with Torum next time. For now, though, let's just dive right in. The ruins at the heart of the forest. Locating entrances to Old Kalduhr is especially difficult as the land has grown back with a vengeance, more dense and twisted than anywhere else. Wild beasts, birthed by the memories of the forest, stalk its borders, eager to tear apart intruders to water the roots with their blood. Countless spirits trapped within the woods hunger for a chance to experience the warmth of living flesh and dream of hope once again. The scattered monuments that can be found above ground have been largely overgrown by the forest over millennia, and most have been plundered long ago. But you and your companions are ready to delve far below to claim the wonders that await only the bravest and most worthy. The risks are endless, the rewards, should you succeed, are incalculable. You know this in your bones, as something calls you to venture below the ground again, returning home. Indeed, you are all here because you have set up a camp at the site of these ruins at the heart of the forest. And just to be really clear, the ruins at the heart of the forest, I don't think like really captures like how big of a space we're talking about, right? The forest itself is the size of a continent. So that's one thing to keep in mind, or near enough. And the ruins at the heart of this titanic forest probably like spread out over the course of many miles, right? So you have your camp set up nearby, like maybe like just somewhere in the ruins, but you have to go out there and actually explore and find an entrance into Old Kalduhr. It's not enough to simply know to see these surface ruins. These surface ruins are just what kind of sort of where things started before they started building down, right? And so, and as I noted in my little intro, it's very overgrown. There's a lot of dangers. And so the first order of business is just simply finding a way to get down into Old Kalduhr, right? And so with that said, our first set is the ruins at the heart of the forest. And I would like for someone to roll a light and dark die for me, please. Let me get you a die roller link. Because we have a little...
Oh, we've got a die roller in chat.
Oh, do you indeed? Okay, great. Well, let me go click on that then, so I can join you all. If somebody will roll a light and a dark, or just one each, I need a dark
I'll,
die
I'll roll a dark
first.
die.
Yeah, please do.
I'll roll it.
5 dark.
Okay.
3 light.
You know Old Kalduhr is near because the ground shudders beneath your feet, which leads you to believe a local monument hides a secret entrance. Indeed, you've been walking, you've been searching, and a lot of it's just crumbled ruins, overgrown, not really anything worth seeing apart from just the novelty of being in this place. You have this goal to locate an entrance to the underground ruins of Old Kalduhr, and you think you might be close because you start to feel, first, I would say, a little bit of, a slight bit of give in your steps, if that makes sense. The ground normally feels very hard and packed and solid, but you reach a place where maybe it's just your mind playing tricks on you, who knows, but the ground feels a little softer. It feels a little bit more inviting. You might even feel this shudder beneath your feet. You might even see little insects crawling away from something. You arrive at a statue clearing. A towering group of statues stand arranged in this clearing. They have worn features and unsettling shapes. They're all carved, covered with intricate symbols. And the statues have both fresh and old offerings arranged at their feet. So we have a question I'd like to ponder here for a little bit, then we'll get to the actual exploring part. Do you suppose these statues represent early forms of the sisters? Or perhaps they are forest guardians? Or maybe they are primordial gods worshipped before Kalduhr expanded underground. Let's hear your theories. I will note straight away that Laura, the young sister who is close to Berwyn, sort of, we'll get into it, but Laura suggests that this is no form of the sisters she's ever seen before.
Well, it's probably because Laura is not as well versed in the sisters' mythology that Alina is, which is why Laura does not recognize what she is seeing. But these are early renditions of the sisters as they would have appeared then, because the sisters are eternal. You know, they are born and reborn. They are in different figures in different ways throughout lifetimes. And these are very clearly accurate representations of a different lifetime of the sisters. Um, not surprised Laura didn't see that though. Not her
Berwyn's is
fault.
not surprised that she didn't see it because she is also blind.
That too.
Well, we'll say that she was touching the
Yeah,
statues
yeah, no,
then.
I think that she was definitely, she's sort of appraising them with her hands and her
Well,
other senses.
mhm.
Um, I'm sure Alina doesn't gather that though, given how oblivious she tends to be. Um, but I think that Berwyn, as he's watching Laura sort of take in the form of these creatures, I think that he too thinks that there's something older than the sisters themselves. He's not super versed in the sisters like Alina is, but they don't resemble anything that he like any sort of like artistic movement that he's familiar with, since he is something of an art, or was at least before, when he had human hands, was an artisan, and so he had studied different sort of movements, Kaldurian movements, but this resembles nothing like he recalls in any of his studies.
I think Cassian will reach out and take Laura's hand off of the face and say, be careful, we don't know what kind of traps may be involved here, but those are almost certainly aspects of the Old One of the Forest.
How tall are these statues? I noted towering, but that maybe is open to interpretation. Are some of them very literally towering and some are smaller? Or are they all about the same size?
I like to think that the one that Cassian and Laura were at is indeed towering, but it's shaped in a way that like it curves and the head is sloped
Down.
down.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Laura says, an old one of the forest.
The Old One of the Forest.
The old one of the forest. It is not my place, of course, to offer commentary on the religious beliefs of my employer.
You're right.
I do believe that the old ones of the forest, or the old one of the forest, well, have you ever considered that possibly it's just pagan nonsense?
I think Cassian just stares at her and just turns away.
She
So we're
can't
looking
see
for a
any
tunnel.
of that. She turns to you, Alina, and she says, or to whoever's there, and says, I hope I didn't offend him. I simply believe it's important to interrogate these matters. I'm not even sure I believe in the sisters completely.
And yet you claim to be a follower.
I have acquired some power, yes, but from whence it comes, I could not say for sure. I think it's important to always question.
Well, perhaps you should keep some of those questions to yourself.
Perhaps a healthy amount of skepticism is best, especially when we are heading into unknown territory. Come, Laura.
I love it. Let's talk about this exploration. So this is a set like any other with the goal of locating an entrance to the underground ruins of Old Kalduhr. Now there are going to be there are several set pieces. The statue clearing is one of them, but there could be more. At any time, I mean, you can search the area just like normal with a hunt roll, as you normally would, and you can collect hunt tokens as you normally would. And you can spend hunt tokens to automatically achieve the goal. You might also achieve the goal naturally just by exploring the environment and finding something that equates to an entrance into Old Kalduhr. But you have another option as well. You have a third tool that you can rely upon that is called the delve roll. I'm going to clip an image of that really quickly and pop it in chat. The delve roll, you can do this anytime you want. And quite simply, it says, any of the props in this set may reveal an entrance to the subterranean levels of Old Kalduhr, whether beginning a journey below or returning to the surface. If treasure hunters choose to explore further without successfully locating an entrance, I can introduce another section, or you can attempt to make a delve. When you believe a location connects to Old Kalduhr, say that you're looking for an entrance, and then you roll some dice. And essentially, the results are finding terrible things and or an entrance into Old Kalduhr. And so it's just a slightly more specific kind of hunt roll, essentially. But I'm curious, Cassian, what are you doing when you walk away?
Well, we felt that patch of ground that was a little softer, so that feels like a good place to start searching, maybe using his walking stick to prod the ground, see if it gives way anywhere.
Do you want to do that new roll, or do you want to do a hunt roll?
Let's do a delve roll.
Okay. So go ahead and gather dice. Let's talk about the gathering of dice. You take a light die for describing a prophecy or piece of lore which you believe describes a path to Old Kalduhr. And you take a light die if you have a skill or piece of evidence which strengthens your belief or eases your search. So here, some of that, you've been collecting a lot of prophecies and omens in the last campaign. Some of that might be helpful here. Or you might have just something that you know about the forest that gives you that first light die.
As a worshipper of the Old One of the Forest, if these are indeed statues of aspects of that, and Cassian believes it is, I think that it makes sense for there to be these watchers at an entrance to the forest from Old Kalduhr. And so that feels like evidence or lore.
I think you certainly have your first light die. Do you further have a skill? Well, the first light die, I guess, would be describing a prophecy or piece of lore. I think, well, maybe the second light die is the piece of evidence. That's what you've given us. Is there a lore or prophecy specifically related to these statues or this place that you might be able to rely upon?
Cassian's only the omen that I have not drawn on elsewhere is a corpse mangled, bone shattered, and still bleeding, a mangled mass that I think you could easily shape one of the broken statues into
Good.
that as
Yeah,
something
that's
that
good.
he's looking for.
Yeah, I like that. I like the idea of one of the statues is busted and broken, and that's really good. Yeah, yeah. So maybe you're remembering this from long ago, not long, well, kind of long ago. This omen. Go ahead and roll 2 light dice. Let's see what you get.
A 6?
6. Well, this was easy. You discover an entrance to Old Kalduhr. Straightforward. Um, you're searching around and you go to that specific gnarled statue. And the area around the gnarled statue, the ground is soft. And you're remembering that that portent from before that's drawn you here. There are similarities between the statue, or at least echoes of the statue, and that moment. What are some of them?
The statue has fallen in such a way that it has crushed a small tree under it, and the shriveled, petrified branches stick up like broken ribs, like it's been cored.
What you discover is that scattered all around this particular statue are components of a failed ritual, including a scroll inscribed with a partial ritual for the ritual gate. And you can see that whoever was doing this was not able to complete the ritual because they don't have the complete text. And so they began singeing the grass near the base of this statue with this symbol that they have deduced from this scroll, but they're missing a piece of it. Who here might be able to complete the ritual?
Oh, I'm sure Alina can.
How so?
With my skill in lore, and also my ability to connect with the spirits, my insight with the sisters, and my pure awesomeness.
You do have a lore, which could
Yeah.
be helpful. I think that's pretty good. Let's see what else you've got. You have, well, lore is maybe the most helpful thing. Berwin has rituals as well. Um, Between the two of you, you might be able to pull something off here. I think this is going to be a risk roll in any case, and it is. It's not going to be a. I'm not going to make it a ritual risk roll just to start. It's just going to be a regular risk roll, like with light dice. But and I think you make a good case for your first light die. What could go wrong here if you fail this? Everyone else gets to speak.
We're only assuming that it's a gate ritual. It could be something entirely different that brings something to us.
Yeah, I was thinking it could be a gate from somewhere else. Right? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I was going to say the opposite, that it is the gate, but it's she says the wrong words or something, and it seals us off
Oh,
from this entire place. So we'd have
that's
to
pretty good. Yeah.
travel.
Okay, that's great. Let's go ahead and talk about Devil's Bargains. You no longer have access to the Scoundrel's Quarter offer. So this has to be just straight Devil's Bargains, and we can all offer something to Amanda, who has a thought. I'll remind you, Devil's Bargains are things that happen no matter what, success or no.
No matter what, this is going to wake something up below us. This is essentially going to turn the lights on downstairs,
Oh,
and
that's good.
it's not necessarily good.
I'm going to say no matter what, a guardian spirit from the Kaldur will appear and try to warn you to stay away.
no matter what, a guardian spirit appears and takes hold of Lena momentarily,
Oh,
offering us a message.
nice. Good.
Can I amend mine?
Sure.
Laura will see something.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Hmm. Like, it's something specific or just like.
That might depend on how well the roll goes.
Okay, fair enough. What do you think, Amanda?
I really like the idea of Laura seeing something because that'd just piss Alina off so bad.
Okay, good. Interesting. Okay. You've got 2 light dice. I don't think we need a dark die yet, but if you do add a dark die eventually, you can get help from Berwin as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's my 2 light. And that's a 4.
A 4. I need to be reminded how the rules of this game work. um, but where are the rolls? Are they on here somewhere, Ben?
I thought they were.
Yeah.
Who made this thing?
Oh wait, no. I think it's in the die roller. There's the text, if I'm not mistaken. No, I'm just making
There is
all this
a
up.
reference tab.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, it's been a minute.
Thank you to the awesome, clever person who made this character keeper.
Ah, here we go. Okay, risk roll. On a 4 or 5, you succeed, but there's a complication. I'll describe the complication, then you describe how you succeed, or vice versa. The complication is this. What Laura rather is going to see is you'll all see it. Laura will feel it. There is a wind that comes through. This is just while Berwin and Alina are trying to figure this ritual out. But this wind comes through, and there's a swirl of leaves that swirl around Laura. And she's kind of reaching out and touching them. They're kind of flicking off of her fingers. And she even takes one. And then she can feel the leaves and this little sirocco of wind leading her, drawing her into the tree line. She says, "Question everything, but trust that not all things are without meaning." And she follows the path of leaves into the woods.
What did you feel?
She's just walking off.
Oh, well, is that? Shall we follow?
Berwin, where did you
Yes.
find her?
Businesses of yours.
Well, clearly it wasn't where I was trained. Taught people better than that.
Yes,
You were
she
trained.
seems to know what she's doing.
Osto, this big, burly guy that Alina has hired, he kind of gets up. He's just been kind of sitting on a stone waiting for you all to do whatever you're going to do. And he says, "I could follow her."
By all means, follow the blind woman.
And Osto will go off as well. Now 2 of your hirelings have wandered off into the forest.
Berwin lumbers over towards Alina and kind of gets very close to her face and says, "Make sure you keep a leash on your dog, yes?"
Alina's leaning away from Berwin.
Yeah, one of his tumors is starting to throb out of anger.
He's also well trained. He knows what he's doing. He's here for our protection. Well, my protection. But, of course, yours as well. As a side benefit for you.
Berwin wipes away the orange saliva that's been gathering around his gums and just stomps off, following after the 2 of them.
Alina, you do manage to complete the ritual. You do manage to use your. How does your knowledge of lore in particular help you? I'm curious.
Um, I think I'm thinking back to all of the stories and whatever the sisters' version of parables would be, and how they all tie together and connect, because that's how these rituals usually work, is usually by using pieces of those stories. Those stories are there to help instruct an oral tradition how to make rituals work, and piecing the pieces together. If you know all of the different pieces of symbolism, you can generally speaking figure out what's happening, and that works for any kind of ritual. So I think it might be by a little bit out of happenstance. I think, and a little bit out of skill. She does know what she's doing regarding sisters things, but if this has old god of the forest stuff going on, she has no idea. And I think when the leaves started spinning around um, Laura, I think that gave her inspiration to use more pagan style symbolism in her interpretation, but she would never admit to that. So,
Indeed. It works, and you know it's working as you finish singeing the grass and completing the symbol that the whoever did this before started. There starts to be a rumble as a sinkhole starts to collapse the ground around the space of the symbol. You can step out of the way so you don't fall down, but that's where that softness is coming from. The ground had been literally weakened, and now it's just crumbling away, and great big clumps of dirt and rock and grass are just falling down into what appears to be a hole, a shaft, a hole in the ground, an echo perhaps of our tragic treasure hunters who went into the hole in Mother. And but you know this is the right way because that crumbled statue, that broken, busted statue, it did not fall into the coal. And the hand of it, broken off, seems to be hanging now over the edge of the hole, pointing down. You will have to, you may have to rappel down a little bit to get to steadier ground, but that is your way in. But that's neither here nor there. Well, it is neither here nor there, but it's, at the moment, Berwyn. You walk in upon a scene that is not great. Laura and Osto encountered a woman made entirely of leaves. Her body is leaves, various kinds, but all sort of golden, I would say, like fall leaves. And they're kind of vaguely held together by what appears to be a sort of gauzy veil and gown, just giving it a vague shape of a woman. But this woman, this leaf woman, is extending her arm, and leaves, wet leaves, are flying off of her arm and smacking Laura all over the face, all over the neck, and they're beginning to overwhelm Laura. She's trying to claw them off of her face. She can't really see where they're coming from. She can feel it. And the leaves are kind of like forcing their way into her mouth. And
Oh
she's kind
no.
of gagging and choking. And stupid Osto, he has a big club or whatever. What does he use for a weapon? Like, let's see here. He uses a sawtooth blade. Okay. Very helpful against Leaf Woman. Just swinging the sawtooth blades, doing nothing. And Berwyn, what do you do?
Um, I think this is a good time to use my rubber ritual. And I want
Okay.
to sort of like Mr. Fantastic style, wrap my rubbery arm or appendage out from my body and sort of pull her back towards me, get her away from the leaf woman.
I like that. That's really good. The leaf woman still remains dangerous, though. You can combat her, but unfortunately, she cannot be harmed by physical weapons, and so you have to fight her with rituals or something similar. Um,
If
and
that's the case, then is it okay if I could do like the rubber witch ritual as sort of like an instinctive physical thing, but then use my whale ritual as like an offensive sort of push
yeah,
against the
I
leaf
love that.
woman?
I think that's really great. Yeah, in this case, using your ritual as your weapon is good. Um, I don't think does Osto have rituals? I don't think he does.
He has
He
night
does. He has
walk.
Nightwalk, but that's not going to help him here. Osto's useless in this fight. Laura is momentarily useless. She might be able to join you in a future round, one when she kind of gathers herself because she does have an offensive ritual. Um, this is a combat. It's an endurance 8, and I just need a weak point from you.
Okay. 6.
6. Let's go ahead and get a combat 1 on the table. See how you do. Not that it matters, but don't roll 6.
5.
5. Give us just the first round here, especially in particular as you're kind of saving Laura.
As Berwin is sort of trudging up towards the path where Osto and Laura were heading, uh he can hear Laura cry out and he starts to pick up the pace and he sees Osto just sort of mindlessly swinging the sawtooth blade through the form of the leaf woman. The leaves disperse when the blades hit, but they immediately sort of swirl back into form, into shape. But he just kind of keeps focusing on that while Laura is being swarmed by these leaves that are trying to come into her mouth and trying to choke her. Instinctively, he stretches his arm out, and this sort of fleshy pseudopod wraps around, grabs her from behind, and pulls her closer. And as he pulls her close to him, his multiple mouths start to open up across his throat, and he just lets out this massive roar that rings throughout the forest, almost trying to send this uh, sort of like a wild animal sends a roar out to warn would-be enemies.
Laura will join you for this combat if you want her to.
Yes, please.
Let me get a weak point
Actually,
for
no,
her.
I'm gonna say no.
No?
I
Okay.
think we'll save her for now.
Then go ahead and do a combat 2.
I'm probably gonna regret this. I'm gonna regret this.
Well, you did beat it though. You got a 6 and a 2, so that's
Yeah,
good. But
just hit my weak
you
point.
took a hit as well. So describe how you first of all, well, how do you get hurt, and then second of all, how do you destroy this thing?
Um, as I'm roaring, the leaf woman notices and she extends her other arm, which erupts into this swirling vortex of autumn leaves that swarm and start to fill his multiple mouths, choking him out, causing the whale to not be as effective. Um, but his main mouth is still open, and he sort of concentrates that wailing sound into this sort of concentrated beam of sonic energy, and he just sort of cuts through her body, and the leaves sort of disperse. Um, but I think that maybe some of the leaves had like either like some kind of like maybe like sticky thorns or maybe even like parasites on them that sort of fall into his body by way of his other mouths, and he starts to sort of choke on them a bit.
Great. I love it. Go ahead and roll gold 8 as well.
1.
1. Something valuable will be left over from this entity. Decide what it is, and then add it to your found equipment. Cassian and Alina, you're not aware of any of that that was happening outside of your purview, but you are here at this entrance into Old Kalduhr. What are we doing right now?
You mentioned that there were offerings new and old
Yes.
near the statues. When when you say new, is there anything that looks very recent?
Make a hunt roll.
Can I argue for my tracking ability
Yeah.
to come in handy here?
Mhm.
That's a 6.
Nice. Take your token. Whoever came here, and when I say recent, we mean like, in the last 6 months, maybe, or a year. It's been a while. So it's been a long time. So if they're nearby, it's unlikely they're nearby. But furthermore, you'll have some evidence that whoever was here maybe had the same idea that you all did, but gave up. So nobody's on your tail. Borum, goddamn, Torum has to be at some point. Torum and his follower Gan, but I would like to suggest that Gan is always kind of watching you. Indeed, you might even notice Gan skulking around, because that's just Gan's way. And then Gan scuttles off. But you're good.
So this pit that's opened up, it's quite large, right?
I would say it's like maybe it's not super wide. It's wide enough to where you can't like stretch out and touch it with 2 arms. Like you will
Okay.
have to rappel down. You can't like slide down. Yeah. A hole more than a pit, I would say.
Yeah. How sturdy does the ground look along the sides of it?
Well, that's the thing. Whatever weakness was here was strictly because of this impartial, or this partial rather, gate ritual. It seems like the rest of the ground is pretty solid.
Okay. Well, Cassian, I suppose we could. And I hold up my iron spikes, my mallet, down, where you put the stick in, and you're an outdoorsy person. You should know what I'm talking about.
Repel.
Yes.
We repel, yes.
Well, you go first.
Naturally. Before that, give me your... Wait, you have a dagger or some...
I have...
Curved ritual knife.
Yes. Why? It's mine.
We need to make an offering.
You're going to offer up my knife?
My blood, Alina.
Oh, well, in that case, then I hand over my knife.
And Cassian's going to make a small cut in his hand, his human hand, to bleed a bit near the rest of the offerings. Just in case.
Lotak, the physiker you brought with you, he is actually, I think he kind of stands out a little bit from the rest of you in that his traveling clothes are like quite nice and well kept, well kept. His leathers are clean and oiled. His dark hair and beard is like very meticulously styled. And he says, has anyone considered the possibility that, well, without proper precautions, you all might get underground sickness? They say staying too long underground can drive one, well, to go utterly mad.
Then it's a good thing we've brought a physiker.
Yes, yes. I can be helpful in this regard. I think that anyone who willingly would go down into such a deep, dark place already has a little bit of madness, I think we have to confess. But I am here. I am here to convince you that the shadows you see are not necessarily demons hunting you in the dark. No, it's just figments of your imagination, perhaps. In any case, I consider myself a good and useful ear, in case anyone is feeling troubled. Indeed, at this point, Berwyn and the others will be kind of coming back from the forest. What'd you find, Berwyn, on the leaf spirit? Or the remains of it?
Yeah, I think that as things settle down, Laura is actually the one who feels it. But it's like this very large, sort of like scarab beetle, but it looks like it's made of solid gold and is crawling on her. Um, and Berwin will sort of pluck it off of her shoulder and put it in one of his flesh pockets.
Nice. I think as you're all making your way back to camp, this is kind of around the time that uh, that Lotak is giving a speech to whoever else is there. Osto says something like, "I very nearly had that. It was well under control."
Physica, check the lady for any injuries we encountered. Something in the woods, some strange maiden of leaves, a maiden made of leaves. I'm sure there's some witty wordplay there, but I'm feeling a bit choked up right now.
Lotak whispers to you, Cassian, "Your colleague has an ill-favored look."
It's not just his look.
"I fear that whatever plagues him is beyond even my capabilities. If
It very much is.
If something
Yes.
should happen to him in the future, if his maladies should flare up while we're down there, I'm not sure my talents will be of any use, I'm surprised to say."
You'll do your best for him like you would for the rest of us.
Yes,
That's why you're here.
And he says, "Sister Laura, let me see." And he goes to tend to Laura. And they have a little moment where he's like gently pulling a leaf out of her mouth. And she says, "Oh, thank you." And he touches her mouth and says, "It was nothing." And then,
Berwin looks very sad off in the distance watching the
oh.
two of them.
I
He
think I
misses
go.
human touch.
I stand next to Osto and I say, "You know, my friend, I think I'm the only person who brought anyone useful."
Yes, things were looking pretty bad out there for a moment, but I managed to destroy, or do my part at least, in destroying that terrible entity.
I knew you would have it under control.
Yes. What's that saying? Brawn over brain or something?
I do believe that is it, yes. And you have an incredible amount of brawn.
Mm-hmm. And he kind of looks back and says, "And just enough brain."
Just enough.
Well, are you all ready to go down into the hole now? Is that a yes?
Yes, I think we're
Oh, I love it. So what's the plan? Bearing in mind that you do have to leave a way for Torum to follow up as well. You know Gon's watching you and is going to go get Torum at some point. So however you get down, you're going to have to make sure Torum can also get down behind you. So what's the plan here?
Well, we know that Gon has a knock ritual, so he can make little portals. So I'm not.
That is true.
Yeah.
And Torum has a grappling hook.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so all right. So basically, as long as Torum can get to the hole, Torum will be able to follow you.
Yeah. You'll be all right.
I have a glass bottle. I think Cassian will break it and leave pieces behind, if only for our own purposes to get out.
Oh, that's interesting. So basically, like once you're able to get down to solid ground, to like leave a trail, basically.
Yeah,
That's
Like
good.
breadcrumbs, but harder to eat.
Right, and good.
hopefully.
I love it. Okay, but what about the actual like rappelling down the hole? Do you all have equipment that will help you do this?
Good question. Uh, I have a barbed whip that I could theoretically use as sort of a repelling rope thing.
I don't think it's going to get you very far.
I've
Well,
got
I
iron
can be.
spike. Oh, sorry.
I was going to say I can turn into rubber, so I could
Sure, you just fall.
just turn myself into
Yeah.
like, or I could just reshape my body into like a ladder or something like that, but like a flesh ladder that people can climb down.
Oh, flesh ladder. Why do you have to keep saying flesh things?
um, other thoughts?
I have rope.
Rope, classic. Um, I think as long as you all have some equipment, you will be able to get down in whatever manner you can get down. It's unclear if a fall would even hurt Berwyn, so Berwyn, you might be okay in any case. It's mostly just a matter of getting the blind priestess down and the Physiker and all of his damn equipment. And Osto's quite big. So it might just take some time uh, to eventually come up with a system to get everyone down. The initial descent down the hole is actually not the hard part, though. You realize pretty quickly it's only about 30 feet. So you're able to kind of get down. You have to kind of drop a little bit down into what, from the hole into like what's like a little cave pocket. And as long as we have a light source, we can continue the climb.
I've got torches.
Light one up. You are in a cave system that is going down, so that's helpful. Presumably, it will eventually lead you to Old Kalduhr. As long as you're leaving bits of glass behind for Torum to follow, Torum can follow you and meet back up with you whenever Rob is here. The climb set. Now, the climb is a set that it's interstitial. It connects, as I noted last time, it basically connects you to any level of Old Kalduhr that you've already reached. And also you have to do a climb in order to escape Old Kalduhr. So basically all it can take you to right now is level 1, right? It does have a goal, travel between the deep layers of Old Kalduhr. In this case, travel to the first layer of Old Kalduhr. Exploring the depths of the ancient world is treacherous. Whether descending into the unknown or climbing your way back with what you could salvage, the path is dangerous. I once again need a light die and a dark die.
I'll throw in a dark die.
What do we got?
Do light.
Okay.
1.
2.
You go for a time, and these caves, they ultimately all sort of lead to the depths of an underground lake. You must find a way to traverse this vast underground lake. I love an underground lake, by the way, while taking care to avoid the lair of devious subterranean creatures. We're going to take a 5-minute break. We'll come back and do that. You are on the shores of an underground lake. Your torchlight is not enough to see to the other side of it, or to even see how far down the shore goes. You can walk it for a little bit, and you realize that it's very, very wide. And it's no great stretch for the imagination to imagine the lake is very, very far to the other side. And yet, let's paint the scene. This is not entirely uncharted territory. This is not all natural underground space. There are signs that the ancient Kalduhri people traversed here, and regularly. Though no boats, to be clear. What signs are there?
Although we can't see any boats, I think with what little we can see what looks like walls, what looks like a canal system that used to be here to help, I don't know, I suppose barges or things with goods travel along the lake quicker and more efficiently.
I like the idea of there's some kind of clear, like, um, mechanism or something in the water along the walls. Maybe it's too alien for you all to understand precisely how it works, but I like that idea. Yeah.
On the banks of this lake, there are it looks to be like old pieces of long rotting wood, that if we look at them closer might resemble oars, but again, they're broken and rotting.
Hmm.
There are stalagmites sticking out of the lake at regular intervals, and once upon a time they may have had like some sort of bioluminescent lichen on it or something,
Like
but
the
it
wave. Yeah.
has it's all rotted and clinging to it like just mess now.
Hmm. Well, you have to get across this lake somehow. And so, um, getting across the lake will get you ultimately to the first layer of the delve. 3 hunt tokens get you there automatically. Otherwise, I need you all to explore or come up with a plan.
Yeah, I think Berwin noticing these broken, rotting pieces of wood, which is strange, especially since they're so far underground. I think he assumes that there was maybe some sort of machinations for traveling here. So I think he's going to follow that sort of see if there's like a trail that leads from these rotting ores to maybe something that might resemble a boat or something like that.
I like that. Do a hunt roll.
3.
You are wandering the shoreline, which is not a straight line. It kind of, has a path or twists and turns. Picking up bits of wood and other detritus that might lead to something useful. And at one point, you pick up a piece of wood that, as you reach for it, it reaches back for you. And you realize that it's actually some sort of fungal growth on the wood that kind of, maybe it's just a trick of the poor light that you have down here, but it appears to be reaching toward you. I will also say that what you thought was the trickling of underground rivers or the splashing of perhaps blind fish in the distance is in fact a sound that's coming from up above, and it's chittering and constant. Though your torchlight can't quite reach the top of the cave to see. Cassian, what are you doing right now?
So I have a magic ring that can control the weather.
Okay.
And my question for that is, do I control, like, can I make weather in my nearby area, or am I changing the weather outside?
It would be the weather outside, and I think if you can come up with a justification for somehow getting the weather down where you're at, then maybe we can talk about that. But otherwise, I think it might be tricky.
Because I was thinking if I can make it cold enough, the water
Oh, I
will
see.
freeze.
Oh, very interesting indeed. That would be quite a dramatic bit of magic, right? I just don't, yeah, I don't know. Between the climb down and I just don't think it's gonna work. Like, I don't know how you could get that down there. There's got to be easier ways. I do like the idea of posing the question, though, so you should do a hunt roll.
Does
You can
the
use the ring as the second die. Yeah.
2 6s.
Oh, nice.
Or, well, 6.
Take your token. I like where you're going with this, though. I think that I'd like to suggest that you are performing some experiments, right, to see if you can like get, uh, you know, some kind of control of the surface weather down here. I think the most you're ever able to manage is you manage to get a large single gust of cold wind to follow you down where you're at. It very nearly blows out your torchlight, but doesn't because you got a 6. But what it does do is it blows away what previously looked like just a bunch of old, like, it was just a bunch of like, looked like a bunch of like piled up driftwood and moss, right? It kind of blows it and scatters just enough of it for you to see that it's not some refuse pile. There's something underneath it. What do you do?
Gonna go take a look.
Make another hunt roll.
I don't suppose plants or beasts.
It won't be helpful in this instance. No.
That is a 4.
You can realize pretty quickly that there's something underneath it, something carved, clearly not part of the natural environment. You can clear away all this detritus to see that what it is it's like a large stone, for lack of a better word, console, like a table even. And it has in the center of it what appears to be a hole just big enough to put your hand and arm through. What are you doing in the meantime, Alina?
I think I'm interested in the mechanisms that look like they might be part of the canal. I think I want to go to staying on the shore, but I want to take a better look at those, see if I can figure out how to make them work or if there's anything there that could help us cross. Maybe there's a whole straight wall across.
Go ahead and make your roll.
I can't sell you on lore since I might have heard about underground water canals.
No, not Old Kalduhr. This
That's
is too ancient.
Oh, that's a 2.
Osto says, Miss Alina, it seems to me that we might have to just dive into that water and swim. Now, I have legendary endurance, and a swim like
So I've been
that
told.
would be no trouble at all. I could put you right on my back and get you right across. No trouble whatsoever.
Well, let's use that as the backup plan, shall we?
Right. And he kind of crosses his arms and stands expectantly, waiting for whatever's going to happen. And that's when you see something fall onto his head. He says, "What in the heck?" And you can see, Alina, that what it is that's fallen on his head looks to be like a glob of fungus, but vaguely crab-shaped. And he grabs it, and it's just sort of like slithering around in his hand, Just, but it's like a it's a slappy wet sound, I would say, like a, but like it's also exhaling, and he just like crushes it, and it dribbles all down his hand. He shakes it off. He says, "What in the world?" He's like, I don't know, Mazzelina. I think whatever that thing was, there's probably more of them up there. You
We
can't
should
see to the top.
we should definitely take care not to bother them then. Perhaps we should be very quiet.
Right. I'll do my best. I have a very naturally loud and booming bassy voice.
I know you do. It's really quite intimidating. That's one of the reasons I hired you. But
Right.
for now, shh.
Cassian, are you going to put your hand in the hole?
Yes, but my wooden one.
But what? Oh,
My
your
wooden
one.
hand.
Oh, good. Yeah. I think this is just well, I don't know. If since you're using your wooden hand, I'll give you 2 dice.
5.
Nice. Inside the hole, you don't have to go very far before you find inside there is a let's say it feels like a piece of slate, like a piece of stone, thin. You can feel it rattling around in there. The hole keeps going, but you find that right away. Do you pick it up?
Yes.
As soon as you pick it up, you start to hear some agitation in the water. And you all witness, even in the torchlight, near the bank of the shore, rising up out of the water, is a large platform levitating just above the surface of the water. You can hear the water sluicing off of it. It's quite wide, big enough for like several wagons. Cassian, this is interesting. What do you do?
First thing I'd like to do is turn my 4 hunt tokens into treasure.
We'll get there in a moment. Right now, your hands in the hole. So what do you do?
I'm going to assume that I've triggered whatever can be triggered and going to try withdrawing my hand.
Do you take the little slate with you?
Yes.
Actually, I'm going to say you can't. The slate piece is too big for the hole. But if you let go of it, it drops back down into the water.
Then, in that case, I have a tent. Tents have poles. I'm going to try and stick that pole in there to keep the little slate lifted.
I think you can do that. And that'll raise it up again. Then what?
Time to gather the others. Let's go for a ride on a platform.
I think the Physiker, Lotak, is like, this is incredible. Just incredible. I mean, I've heard of the magic of the ancient Kalduhri people, but this is unlike anything I've ever seen. I mean, the power of magic, it makes me think I went into the wrong business.
Just think all the things you may find that might help you do your job better.
I find myself somewhat amused by the idea of me doing my job better, but I take your point.
Where's the big man? He should go first.
Oh yeah, Asta will step up there. He says, I don't know. I mean, it seems to be, he's kind of going underneath it, like looking underneath it. He says, it seems like it's floating in the air, which is, ooh, but I have quite a lot of mass, especially in the upper torso area, and I fear that if I step onto it, it's just going to sink back down.
Only one way to find out.
All right.
We'll pull you off right away if you start to sink.
He says, oh, good, because I'm not a very good swimmer. And he steps his boot onto the platform, and there's no give at all. He's able to step onto it like it's just a solid piece of ground. He kind of jumps a little bit. He's like, "Yeah, this feels pretty solid to me."
I'm going to join him on the platform.
You can.
And once I'm up there, I would actually like to use a ritual.
Okay. To do what?
I would like to use my ritual guide, which is conjure a thread to follow. Since we're going to be going into the dark, we won't be able to see where we're going or where we're coming from. I'm assuming that's how big this lake is. I think one of my glowing threads to sort of light the path so we stay on the same path. If we have any control over this, which I hope we do.
Yeah, you can summon the thread. I don't need you to make the roll. You have plenty of time to prepare it. And the thread, perhaps unhelpfully, just goes straight across the lake, because in broad terms, that's where you need to go.
Yeah. Good. That's kind of what I wanted, because we didn't want to drift off to the side, right? If it was dark.
What's everyone else doing?
Is this fungus that's reaching out to me, reaching out in a like threatening or predatory way? Or is it just
Unclear.
sort of...
It's no harm.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm part fungus, so I think that I'm going to call Laura over, and
She says, "Everyone seems to be so excited by what they're seeing. Can you describe it for me?"
yes, it is wet, dark, and rocky.
She says, "Ah, well, how are you?"
He pauses for a moment, as if almost
She
like
reaches to touch your face.
yeah, I think he's sort of taken aback by surprise that someone's interested in what his disposition is. But then when he notices her hand, he'll sort of jerk himself away, and he'll say, I'm quite fine. But
Mr. Berwin, how come you don't ever let me touch you?
A skin condition. It's possibly contagious. I'd hate for you to endure one of my afflictions. Though I know that is what is something that you do specialize in. It's not an affliction I wish upon you, though.
Lotak approaches from behind Laura, and he leans in and he says, "Let me describe it for you.
I can hear you."
The lake is very vast. We can't see the ends of it, and the water is perfectly black, like staring into obsidian or onyx. It seems to have no fathomable depth. It is just, who knows how far down it goes. Perhaps the lake is not even a lake. Perhaps it's just some sort of cosmic metaphor for the subconscious. I don't know, but I digress.
Laura, there is a matter I need tending to.
And Laura says, oh, all right. And you can see just briefly a little touch of their fingertips as she pulls away from him.
Yeah. Or one of Berwin's eyes is twitching in Lortak's direction. But he says to Laura, "There is an organism down here. Seems to be amiable. Perhaps you can soothe it into submission, and so that I may speak with it, communicate with it."
Does she have a ritual along these lines?
No, but she has a skill in soothing.
Oh, soothing. Very good. Okay, so you can give her that fungus. We'll see what she comes up with. In fact, I'll do a hunt roll for her, since I get to roll for the character, these hirelings. Boop, boop. She got a 3. So we'll pick up with that in a moment. Okay, so Cassia and Alina, what are both of you doing right now while this whole little drama is playing out? Are you all climbing onto the platform?
Seeing that it holds Osto, yeah, Cassian will climb on.
Yeah, it feels really solid under your feet.
Yeah.
Like, you can see that it's floating, but when you get on it, you'd have no idea if you didn't know.
So, Cassian, how do you suppose this thing will move?
Hopefully horizontally. What
You
is
mean
the
you
question?
haven't seen it move yet?
Of course not.
Ah, wonderful. Wonderful.
It floats. It is solid enough. It must be functional. And if not, Osto's in front.
Well, he's there to protect us.
Yes.
He's the
Right
strongest,
now-
you see.
Right now, Osto has a large piece of tree branch or something like that, and he's on the edge of the platform, and he's trying to use it as an oar to make the thing go, but he's not getting anywhere with it. He's just got it in the water, and he's like, "Ah!"
See, look at those muscles.
He says, I don't think we're going to be rowing this thing across.
Osto, can you reach that stalagmite there with the muck?
He says, and with his tree branch, I guess.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, he's maybe. What do you want him to do?
The muck used to be plant, and I can eat plants to get their memories.
Okay, very good. He's like scraping up some muck, and he kind of brings it over to you.
Cassian will take a little bit on his fingers, kind of sniff it, and then put it on his tongue.
Make a 2-die hunt roll.
Is it a ritual? Because that's my gardener ritual.
Oh. No, I like it in the realm of hunt roll for now.
6.
You're correct that this did used to be phosphorescent, and it would light the way, and mostly it just remembers large groups of people and animals moving across the lake.
They don't seem to be maybe standing at a specific point on the platform, or...
I don't think you get any kind of memory like that. But you got your token, though. Berwyn. Laura comes back to you and she says, whatever this is, I do not believe it will be soothed. Whatever it is, I think it means us harm. And furthermore, this, she holds up the piece you've given her, this is just a small part of a gestalt. It's one entity above us.
I see. And he'll pluck the fungus from her hands. Does it react to me and my own fungus, or?
I don't know, but it's definitely like, it doesn't have the ability to hurt you, but it looks like it wants to. Like it keeps like thrusting. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he'll recognize that it's hostility and we'll just sort of shrug and like toss it over his shoulder into the lake. We should get going, meet with the others. No, Tack. Do you know where they went?
I believe they're all boarding the platform, trying to figure out how to get it to move.
Oh. Well, perhaps we might be of some use then. Come. Perhaps I could find something. And I think that as he's walking with the other two, he's gonna sort of try to keep his eye open for like any kind of a extra mechanism or something.
It's just this thing that you uncovered previously. That's it.
He looks up at Alina and Cassian. You're both on the platform, right?
Yep.
So, what's the issue then? It's not moving.
It's not moving. I see no way to make it move.
Do we need to punt it along? Do we have any poles? I have my tent.
Perhaps, like the statues above, it wants an offering.
There's a minute or a moment rather, where Berwyn's eyes sort of narrow over towards Lotak before turning back to the others. Um, Totally pure, not harmful thoughts whatsoever that he has in his head. But he'll go, well, what kind of culture do you think this is? Do you think they want blood sacrifices, money?
Lotak he says, I couldn't say. I'm a man of science.
Yes, as you constantly remind us.
Laura says, My sense is that there is nothing here with us. I am normally quite sensitive to the vicissitudes and movements of the spiritual world. And this place feels remarkably empty in that way, except for, well, our malignant friend up above.
Cassian, there is a matter of fungal nature. Perhaps you talk to it.
I've already tried. Nothing
Oh,
useful.
Father. Well, Alina, do you have any ideas? You know spirits, but perhaps you can channel one. That maw of
Take a better look
yours.
at these statues and see what I can come up with. I'm sure that in my deep and personal history with spiritual matters, which is not scientific enough for Lord Tak, I'm sure, but I should be able to find
I don't think there are any
something.
statues. There's just the lake, the mechanism, the platform, and quite a lot of shoreline.
Yeah.
Plus whatever, the sort of channels and other mechanisms in the lake itself. But who knows if those are capable of being used in any way.
Perhaps if we had Torum here, you could yoke us along, but alas.
Someone
Well,
just needs
I
to give me
have.
an appropriate line of inquiry to
Yeah.
find the way to do this.
I don't want to do another hunt roll.
I want to do a hunt roll. I'm just
I
trying
would
to think
love
of
to do
what
a
to
hunt roll. I
hunt.
just
Yeah.
need to know what the question is.
Well, what do you
Um,
know? You lifted the tile inside the hole, and it caused the thing to raise up. When you let go of the tile, it went back down. Right now, Cassian has the tile lifted on a piece of wood inside the hole. The hole was much deeper than where the tile was found.
We have
Oh,
to push it
okay.
along.
Yeah, if I push the pole that has that's wedged in there with the tile on it, does it push the
Yes, but there's it kind of. It it's the problem is the tile doesn't balance on the pole well. So
uh
it any time it doesn't like stay upright, it just starts to sink again.
oh, for crying. Why did you take your hand out?
To get on the platform.
Oh,
I'm
you
rather
can't reach it
attached
from the
to this
platform?
one.
oh,
No.
bother.
No.
So I will, I don't know if it's a hunt roll or a ritual, but I will use my rubber ritual to, from where I'm at, reach down and extend my arm into the hole.
So you're going to be on the platform,
Yes.
stretching your arm across to go down the
Yes.
hole. That's very interesting
Yes.
indeed. I like it. Let's do the ritual.
We're gonna test the limits on how long your arm can stretch.
I know.
Oh.
Maybe not long enough.
I got a lot of flesh.
Let's see here. What? What are our dice here? Okay, so you get one die for. Oh, God, Christ, I haven't played this in so long. I need to look at the reference sheet again.
So am I doing a ritual roll or a hunt roll?
This is going to be well. It's a
Or
risk
risk-
roll.
risk
It's a
roll,
risk
okay.
roll, yeah. But with a ritual. And I
So I mean, I take
reference
one light
sheet
die
is.
because I've got the skill of rituals.
Okay, love that. And then one light die for Devil's Bargain. Okay, but we first have to say what could go wrong here before you start gathering dice. I think it's pretty simple. I just think that, like, you can't, there's not enough of you to make this work.
I think you actually stretch your arm along like too much. It goes beyond its power of stretching. And if you've ever stretched rubber too far, it doesn't bounce back. You just have this long, sinewy arm that drags in the water.
I
I
kind of
think
like that
that
as a
would
double
probably
bargain
be.
too.
I think that might be worse.
You have a rope arm that you have to, like, gather
Yeah.
up. Um,
The control does need a sacrifice. It needs blood.
that feels like a Devil's Bargain also, but a could go wrong thing, I think, would be. I think it's kind of ultimately just coming down to you're not going to make it, right?
Yeah.
Um, let's talk Devil's Bargains, though. Who has no matter what's?
No matter what, a piece of you will remain in that hole.
No matter what, the chittering thing above us is the boatman, the gate man here, and you are going to greatly offend it.
I don't have one. What was yours though, Ben?
The creature above
Mhm.
is the one who should be steering that, and he'll be very offended that Burton's doing his job.
That's interesting. Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. I like pissing off fungal people.
Yeah, it's
I
really
like
good.
that it pisses off the fungal people that you're steering, and it didn't piss off the fungal thing that Osto just destroyed part of it, and you threw some of it in the water.
Yeah.
I think that makes for some real, I hate to say delicious role play, if I'm going to say it.
Mm.
Um, let's keep going here. You got 2 light dice and 1 dark die for the ritual. Let's see how you do.
5 dark.
5 dark. What's your ruin right now?
4.
Goes up to 5.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to succeed. Yeah, here's the complication. So describe the stretching of your body. I think the complication is you have to basically stretch all of you to reach because basically what's happening is as you move the disc through the hole or the little square through the hole, it doesn't you don't have to move it very far for the platform to move. You discover that very quickly. And indeed, as you press further and further down into the hole, the platform is just going and going. It's moving. It's actually sliding across the lake, right? The problem is, first of all, you have to stretch your body a lot as the platform is moving across the lake. And all that's kind of left of you, Berwin, is just a stretchy, a sort of just a long, glistening tendril of you that the others have to hold on to. Someone has to hold on to it. Osto can hold on to it. But what this basically means is no matter what happens in the future, Berwin and Osto are out of it because they've got to hold on, because Osto's got to hold on to Berwin and Berwin's all stretched out. The problem is you reach all the way to the end of, like, there's kind of like nowhere else to go, essentially. And that only takes you halfway across the lake. And that's when you all realize there's another mechanism on the other side of the lake. You can see it. They probably have to work in tandem. And so you are all currently, you've floated to the center of the lake. Berwin is just a rope at this point. Osto is like holding it like, as best he can. And the platform is starting to be rained upon with what appear to be fungal crabs. They are fungus, but crab shaped. And there are dozens, no, hundreds of them just falling down atop you. And these ones hurt. These ones are a problem. Let's take a 5-minute break. We'll come back and figure out how we're resolving this issue. So I think this fungal mass of it's a colony of enlivened fungi resembling gangly crabs with glowing spores grown on their little crab heads to give them vision in the dark. They are basically just trying to overwhelm you all at this point. Right now, they're just an endurance 7, pretty easy to defeat, but if you don't defeat them quickly, they will be joined by more. And you also have the problem of you're just sitting ducks out in the middle of the lake on this big platform until you figure out how to get across it. So, unless there's a better plan, this is combat. So, who wants to go? Who wants to? Well, and Berwin and Osto
I
can't
can't.
participate.
Yeah.
So, but it's only a 7. What about Lotak and Laura? Do you want them to participate in the combat?
I feel like Lotak isn't
combat type.
particularly built for that.
He's just taking cover. He's just defending himself. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, similarly, I think Laura and Lotak are maybe even like holding each other for
Yeah. For comfort. They're in the corner. I'll protect you.
exactly.
Laura's like, what's happening? What's happening? And he's like, hush, hush, don't worry. Cassian and Alina, that leaves 2 of you. So
All right.
let's get weak points on the table.
A 1 for me.
Mm-hmm.
4.
Okay, and let's go ahead and get combat 2. You only need 7, so.
You want to get it?
Sure, I'll do it. All right, combat 2. And I got a 5. And one of them was a 1, and one of them was a 4.
It's like
Are we glad we had Amanda roll it?
The literal worst possible outcome. You could not have rolled that more poorly. Well,
Thank you.
I think you're all taking hits, or armor is taking hits. But in any case, please describe this troublesome first round of combat. Cassian, go ahead and start.
So Cassian's wooden hand is already tainted by the mold from Foucault's whole thing. And so I think he's extra wary of this fungus, and it's putting him at a disadvantage. And I'm not sure what kind of attacks is this thing capable
I
of?
think that, well, let's see here. It looks like they just they actually are like kind of hard crabs. They just bite at you and tear at you. Yeah.
I think, yeah, he's trying to get his sword out to start defending himself when one of these things maybe drops down the back of his cloak, and he's trying to get it out as it's tearing at his back, and I'm going to take a ruin.
Alina.
I think I pull my stiff woolen cloak over me as they start to fall and pinch, and I'm pulling out my sword, but I can't really get it out to start hitting them because they keep biting at my hands. Not an injury. I'm not taking ruin, but I am marking my cloak. It's getting pretty shredded.
They're now in endurance 8 as more crabs join the swarm. And if you have to go another round after this, you then have to start defending Berwin and Osto as well, because they're so vulnerable. So you've got combat 3 to get 8. on the 2 highest dice. Who wants to roll it?
Maybe I'll roll this time.
Okay, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Good idea.
A 7, and I got a 4 and
A 4 to 1.
Yep.
The die roller, the die roller woke up and chose violence today. Well, it is
What if we
going.
die here?
This is going rather badly. Let's keep it going. This is becoming. They're starting to overwhelm you. What does it look like?
I think they start to climb in under my cloak. They start tearing holes in it and climbing in under it, and I'm getting just pinches and bites. And it's not anything like super debilitating, but it's enough to really freak me out. So I am taking that ruin.
Fantastic.
It's my cloak that's getting torn to shreds this time. The one still underneath is still pecking at my back, and I'm flailing.
Low tech. Laura says, let me help. I can help. But Jack, it's your choice whether you're putting her in danger or not.
Nope.
No. Very well. Lotek says, no, they have it under control. We'll just stay on this corner. They haven't, the creatures haven't seen us yet. And,
I would like to try a ritual to at least. I don't think I can stop the fight from happening right now, but at least stop the rest of them for
yeah, you can lower their
coming down
endurance
upon
and
us.
stop the swarm. Yeah, I think it's a good idea. What's your ritual?
I would like to use ashes, burn something irreplaceable to turn a creature or object to dust, which has never caused any problems in this game ever.
I love it. Let's just get we'll do some simple die rolls here. Okay, in terms of, I mean, if you're calling upon the saints, then maybe that'll give you your first light die.
Yeah.
And
I'm burning the tarot card of Saint Evelyn that I got at my tarot card reading, the one that I
Nice.
thought was so important and impactful.
I love that. We could go ahead and get a single devil's bargain on here. Jack, you can say what the devil's bargain is.
No matter what, an avatar of Saint Laura will visit you, and they will be very angry.
That just now leaves, if you take that.
And I'm going to take that.
Rather, Saint Evelyn, rather.
Yeah, Saint Evelyn. I'm already cursed by Saint Ara and by Saint Erlia. Why not Saint Evelyn?
What's another one?
Bring it on.
2 light and 1 dark. You're looking for basically a hit, or a 6 is better because it lowers it by 2. But
and that is a 6.
nice. It was 6 dark, which is not great.
Yep. So now I am at ruin 5.
Yeah. But that does lower the creature's endurance back down to, well, it lowers it to 6 actually. So go ahead and describe how you weaken the swarm.
I think when I take out the card, and it takes me a moment, I'm under the cloak, and the claws of these crabs are biting at me, and I'm looking at it and I'm torn for a moment because I really don't want to get rid of this card. It was such an effective and important tarot card reading. I've never had a connection like that before with somebody, which is sad. And then I think I just stick my hand out to where Cassian has the torch. As he's flailing, trying to get the crab out of his back, the torch comes down towards me, and I light it up with the torch, and I say a chant. And as the smoke that lights up the card starts to burn through the card, and you can see the edges peeling and burning away, you can see on the roof of the cave the thing that's up there also start to burn away, and the smell is just ghastly. But the bulk of the things fall dead into the water rather than fall living upon us.
You're going to be up to 4 dice now, and you only need 6. If somebody wants to bail out of the combat at this point, if that would be strategically helpful to bail, you can, and let just one person stay.
If I bail, that means Cassian gets my weak point, right?
Does. But it might be worth dumping well on somebody who has armor, right? So.
Yeah, I'm a dude.
Do you have armor?
Well, actually, I do have armor as well. I'll go one more round.
Okay. Then that Well, so let's think about this though. I think this is maybe a time to have a strategic discussion,
All right.
because if you both take ruin, you both have to mark armor to absorb it. But
Yeah.
if one of you takes all the hits, you can just mark one armor to absorb all the hits, right? Rather than two people having to
Even if
mark armor.
even if there's 2 weak points, you don't have to
Yes.
mark an
Yeah.
armor for each weak
All
point.
all ruin is absorbed by one single armor. So it might be strategically helpful
Oh yeah,
to,
I'm
to
bailing.
back out. Yeah, to bail out.
Yeah, I think after I set the tarot card on fire, I
yeah, you've
pull
done your
the
part.
the cloak back over and I
Cassian doing
huddle
it
into
now.
a ball.
So one
Yeah.
armor. So you will have 2 weak points now, Cassian. But any hits you take, one armor will absorb all of them. So
Right.
and it's still combat 4.
And target 6?
6. Yeah. Let's see how this goes. This is tragic combat.
That's an 11. I did get a 4.
You did get a
so I
4.
will be taking a hit.
Just to sing. Yeah, you're gonna take it as ruin, or you're gonna mark armor.
I will mark an armor.
Okay. Please describe how you defeat the swarm, the colony.
I think seeing the swarm burn up at the top of the cavern, it's giving Cassie an idea that the sword isn't the right plan here. The torch is, and so still flailing with the crab pinching at his back and digging into his kidney. He's going to reach for that torch and just swing it in an arc at the swarm and watch as they go up.
Indeed. You've bought yourself some time. You are still out in the middle of the lake. Actually, there might be some treasure here if somebody wants to roll gold 6.
Let's see how lucky I am. I'll roll the gold 6.
As Alina's looking for gold, one of the mouths
2.
on Berwin opens up and says, "Is everything all right? I can't see. My eyes are way back there."
A surprisingly good 2 gold on this roll.
That's I think that's the best gold roll I've ever had, actually.
So probability wise, yeah, it's really good.
1 for me, 1 for Cassian.
Mm-hmm.
That sound good,
Thank
Ben?
you.
What do you find though? Of value. What do these things leave behind?
I think
you
some
might
of
also
them,
you can maybe also spend some of your hunt tokens to
Yeah.
find more of whatever it is, right?
I think some of them have been up there so long that they've crystallized into gems. Some kind
that's
of gem
good.
I've never seen before in my entire life.
That's really good. Yeah, you can spend hunt tokens to get more of these gems if you want.
I'll do that.
We need a couple of things before the session ends. The name of this fungal crab colony. I haven't forgotten about this idea that whatever is up there actually controls the mechanism, or used to in ancient days, but whether you ever discover the truth of it or not, we may never know. But I do need to know the name you're giving to these entities, and then also that's what you'll call the crystals as well, the gems that they make or that they become over time. In any case, I'm curious how many you're taking, Cassian.
My 5 hunt tokens and the 1 gold.
you just start gathering them all up right from the platform. Berwin, you're still a rope. Osto is like, I don't know how much longer I can hold this.
I would like to take a look around the platform and see if any more of these gem things had fallen around, but also take a look around the platform. If this is the midpoint, maybe there's something here that is helpful for however people cross normally, something that they've used. Maybe there's a hidden mechanism I can't see. I just want to kind of
I like that.
look around.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Make a hunt roll.
3.
3. There's a sign. There's a sign posted on one of the stalagmites, or whatever comes up from under.
Stalagmite, yeah.
Regrettably, it's written in ancient Kalduhri. Is anyone here capable of reading it?
Probably not. I mean, maybe Kazian, because he is a follower of the old god.
If there's any similarities there between the old things that he's
Let's take a look.
attuned
Let's
to.
let's take a look at skills. Actually, it might also maybe the hirelings might have skills too. No, seems not actually. So let's see here. Beasts, plants, silence, tracking, athletics. I don't know. I don't think this is the same thing. I don't think lore quite gets you there. Well, I don't. You'll never figure out what the words say, but there is a symbol, a drawing underneath the words that is very clearly someone swimming.
Do you do you think that means don't swim, or do you think that means do swim?
Oh, Osto, do you swim?
Not well, but I'm a fast learner.
That's yes, great. I say Osto.
He is a bit preoccupied at the moment.
Oh, of course, yes.
Just a weird mouth on the rope. Weird mouth. Flesh rope.
Cassian, it might be up to you.
Lotak says, "Don't worry." He steps forward. "I'll do it."
Yes, send Lotak.
He's our physiker.
Laura
Lotek, can you even swim?
to Lotak.
Yes.
He says, "Yes, I'll have you know, when I was at the medical academy, I was on our swimming team. And I did very well, actually."
Cassian, weren't you the one who dove all the way down in that basin to retrieve the gem or the gold thing way back when?
Laura says really quietly to over Lotak's shoulder, "You're so brave."
Fine, yes. I'll do it. And he'll pull off the ruins of his cloak and fish the dead crab thing out from under his armor and get ready to get in the water. I have towels, so that's good.
Yeah. I think since you've already defeated that colony up above, it's safe. You can swim across to the other bank. The platform got you far enough to make that swim over to the other side. And there's another mechanism just like the one over there.
Then, yeah, Cassian will reach in, grab that slate, and
There is no
keep
slate on your side, but you can reach in. What do you do?
Yep, wooden hands going back in.
Berwin, you finally feel something on the other end. You can feel Cassian's fingers reaching for the slate. You're muted.
I think I feel something tickling me.
Oh, dear. Berwin?
Cassian, you can feel just out of reach, you can feel the little slate brushing up against your fingertips.
I got it. Okay. Release it, Berwin.
Should I let go?
Yes.
And you're like hollering at each other across the lake, right?
Let go.
All right. And he'll let go. And
You
I
can
think when he...
pull. Oh, so go ahead.
No, go on.
You can pull the slate, and it moves the platform to the other side of the lake as you pull it up through the hole on that side.
As the platform starts to move, Berwin sort of whips out of the hole and retracts, like, when like you retract like measuring tape, just super quick. And I think when he comes back and reforms into himself, he bumps into Osto and knocks him into the lake.
Nice. You have gotten the platform to the other side. I would like to suggest there's a tricky problem now. How do you get back?
Does anyone have backpack equipment space?
Yeah, I think I do.
Because what if we could rig up rope in like a ring between the two holes, and then we could just pull the rope?
Like a pulley.
Yeah.
Smart.
Yeah, I mean,
It's a lot of
I
rope.
How much rope?
Probably more than this may be a like go to camp and get supplies kind of thing. There's no way you've carried enough rope on you to do that.
Okay. Well, I mean, I
60
do have
feet's a
backpack
lot.
space if we want to.
This lake is way bigger than 60 feet. This lake is like this lake is like half a mile. Like it's really, yeah, it's huge.
Maybe we need to go back into camp
Yeah, but how are you gonna get back right now? Is the
the
problem.
same way we got here. We just use Super Berwin.
Oh, that's true. Well, yeah, that's true. Go through that process again.
Maybe a bit leaner now, though. A little bit,
Yeah,
Less
you're a little
stable.
stretched out.
yeah, trying to reform.
Laura does try to let go to tend to you and to reach out and touch you. What do you do, Berwin?
I think he's sort of like too focused on trying to reconstitute himself that he doesn't notice at first, but then as soon as she touches him, he sort of seizes up and like retracts and solidifies a bit more. But he'll let her touch him.
Lotak
Not
says,
too
this,
long, though.
this is clearly a job for the Physica. Let's check you out, you strange man. And he's like, while Laura doesn't really know what she's seeing, she's just kind of, she kind of says, your skin has a very loose quality, Mr. Berwin.
Yes, I'm rather flexible.
Yes, it's a bit like, well, it almost feels like a very, very tender piece of chicken ready to fall off the bone.
I've heard like certain types of dough, but that'll do too.
Lotak says, I want you to know, Berwin, that in my time as a Physica, I have seen many, many distressing cases. Deformities and disfigurement that defy description. And so you should know that I have a very strong stomach, and it doesn't bother me at all to tend to you. In fact, I consider it my duty.
He turns to him and like still towering over him, but like leaning down, almost echoing the statue we saw earlier. He looks at him very intently, and there's like a bit of a smile curled up across whatever remains of his lips. He says, "Oh, you have a strong stomach, do you? Would you like to see mine?" And he rips open his gut, and just his intestines
I
start
think
to
Laura
spill
says,
out.
what's going on here?
I think he just like spills his guts to Lortak in an attempt to just disgust him.
Cassian, Alina, all that drama's going on. What are you doing?
So yeah, I was just thinking.
I
One
will
of the
say
backpack
that
women,
this side of the shore does lead to what appears to be like a proper civilized staircase going down.
do we want to go back to camp though? Because I was thinking if we could get a pet rat in there, get it on the slate. The two ends are connected. We can put it in at one end and collect the rat at the other when we've taken the platform all the way back.
That's an
Provided
interesting
nothing
idea.
eats the rat.
Yeah, I think that's cool. Into it.
How big is this armhole? Is it big enough for a peacock? We can just make GJ do it.
Osto says, for the time being, I don't mind standing here and operating this side of the device until you're able to come up with a better solution.
How will you get across?
I'll just wait here. I have my sleeping roll, and I have my fiddle. And that was enough for me in my army days. It'll be enough for me now.
Alina, are you prepared to hire new help?
Well, no, I have full faith in Osto.
Why?
You
He's-
have full faith in him to protect you as a bodyguard when he's not around your body.
Yes, but he is exceptional at guarding. He can guard this side of the platform.
Well, if you hired him to guard this side of the platform and not your body, then I say, good job, Osto.
He is capable of guarding more than one thing.
Is he?
I will say that if you leave now and you put in place a way of getting back across using the mechanism, I will let you all return to the first layer of the dungeon, the first layer of Old Kalduhr, without having to do the climb set again.
Ooh.
And then
That's
and then you'll have
tempting.
Torum with you, right? So
Then we'll have Torum on our way back.
Right.
Yeah, but
And the monster is being dealt with, so there's
Yeah.
like, unless it comes back.
He
Nothing
can't
might
really
last
fit through the
past.
hole, though, can he? Like, he can't climb through the slate hole, can he?
Well, I think
Apparently
Osto's plan was to just get you back midway across, and then Berwin can stretch to receive
Got
the
it, got it, got
slave
it.
from the other side,
Yeah.
and then you get to
Yeah.
the other side. But then he has to just stay camped at the other side. So
Yeah, I'm into it.
Yeah, I make sure I give him snacks or whatever. Gooey
Right.
snacks.
Little juice bag.
Yeah.
Good.
A little
Very
thing of
good.
protein powder, you know?
A Capri Sun.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So that's what we've accomplished today. You managed to find the way into Old Kalduhr. You've found this strange lake passage which leads to the first layer of Old Kalduhr. Osto is posted up on the other side of the lake to help you get across when the time comes. And you return back to camp. Let's go ahead and just paint the scene. We'll do we'll also do Hearthfire as well, but I want to paint the scene and just ask. The camp is still pretty small, but it's growing, and there are people here. There are families, there are artisans, there are tradespeople, there are wilderness shopkeepers, traders. What signs do you see that show that the camp is growing?
I think pretty basically we see that people are coming in on carts and helping others, starting to erect tents on the sort of outskirts. It's as if like expanding from the center outward.
It's gotten big enough now that there are 2 shops with clay pots and they're having a price war.
As well as the canvas tents, there are the beginnings of foundations being put down for permanent structures.
To be clear, also, you all are capable of returning, right? You have enough gold?
So I have 6 gold, burden 4. I'm willing to share 2 if that helps close anyone's gaps.
I've got 1 gold, yeah. So if I can get 2,
I won't make you pay. I won't make you pay for the hirelings yet. As long as
Okay.
you meet your basic burden load, you're fine.
I have 1 gold, but I also have a hollow bronze statue, a sister statue that's worth 2 gold in my found equipment, so I can use that to barter my way into getting back home.
So then you should have to meet 3 burdens at this point, Berwin. Do you have enough?
You can have
yeah, I
2
mean, if
for
Cassian
me.
doesn't, yeah.
Okay. Fantastic. We'll take a 10-minute break. We'll come back and we'll do Hearthfire. Okay, I suspect this will be a pretty quick hearth fire. But let's go ahead and just get everybody reset as best we're able. Sound like everybody was able to meet their burdens in gold, so you can go ahead and unmark your armor if you had your armor marked. And does anybody have any extra gold or anything else they want to do while we're back at camp?
Actually, I had a question. So, how much of the regular Hearthfire applies here? Like, because I do have a household, but
Yes, so we'll have to make adjustments, right? You will have to probably describe how your what how well, the household you're making here at camp and how it differs from what you had back in Fort Durin. I do think that like the shopkeeps have traveled with you, so they're here. And if you had any like other like side characters that are implicated from your Hearthfire, they might have been able to make the journey as well. Um, if anybody was working on a tavern, I like the idea of there is like a little outpost, a little branch, if you will, of said tavern, though it's not a full tavern. It's just a, it's like a, it's a tent and some tables. So might be the extent of it. But yeah, so we'll play with it. It's,
okay.
If I have no gold, is there any way I can decrease my ruin?
well,
Oh, returning to my household.
that is true. Yeah, you get one just from that. You have the benefit of that, so you get to lower your ruin by one there. And then you do have two unused healing narratives, so which are free.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I would definitely like to go to my household to clear up at least one of these ruin.
Tell us about the home you've made in camp so far, Berwin, such as it is.
Um, Berwin is not ignorant to the stares and the glares that he gets from the people at camp, and so I think he has fashioned something further out. Maybe maybe even with like Kazian's help of finding like a spot that since he knows that Kazian is used to the outdoors and despite his grotesque appearance, Berwin is still very much a city boy. Um, but he is making do. So I think that if it's okay with you, Ben, I think that maybe they like helped that like maybe they built a lean-to together out there. But in the sort of, pathetic irony of it all, the first day that Berwin is by himself, the lean-to just sort of crumbles. And so he's just sort of kind of like staying in a little he sort of like just sort of has all of these pieces of wood sort of stacked in a sort of unstable way and is just sort of tucking himself as much as he can beneath it for shelter. There is no such thing as being comfortable for him, but he's making do as best as he can. Um, and I don't know if the memento thing applies, like or
It
how it
can, yeah,
applies.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same basically. Yeah.
Um, but I think that he will have kept like one of the leaves that that
Oh,
threatened to choke Laura, and he will put it just sort of like in a pile of stuff that he has.
I think Laura is actually at your little, I guess, what's remains of your lean-to, whatever you're sleeping in right now, and she kind of will poke her head and just say, "Berwin, are you quite all right?"
Yes, yes, I'm perfectly fine. Amazing.
All right, I just wanted to check in on you. I'm getting better at navigating my way around this camp. It's very tricky, but I think I've got the lay of it, and as long as I have my trusty stick, I'm able to get around pretty well.
Do make sure you keep that stick pointed, though. Should I not be around to protect you? You are very capable, of course, by yourself. I mean, you've
You hear
mastered.
Lotak coming. Laura, some of the camp they're putting together a dance. I think we should go. And Laura says, I'm not much of a dancer, but I do like music. And Lotak, he says, hello, Berwin. And he walks up behind Laura and says, will you be at the dance then?
No.
Lotak and Laura go off. What's everyone else doing right now with the hearth fire?
I think after all of the stress of getting down there and getting very little done, and the stress, the frustration of all of that, I think I would like to. I mean, I want to heal some ruin, but I'm going to do it by narrating a scene showing a truly beautiful place in or near town. In this case, in or near camp, which is strange because it is in the middle of the forest, which isn't normally considered beautiful in the standard context. But I think Alina has actually found a small clearing still within earshot. You can still see camp, so it still feels safe. And there's a little break in the tree canopy, so you can see a bit of moonlight coming down. And as it comes down, it highlights a statue, and it's an old statue surrounded by just worn stones. It was clearly very well loved at some point, but time has taken its toll. And sitting in front of this statue in this little moonlit grove, Alina swears it looks like a sister, but the sister has her own face. It's a statue of her as a sister. And that is a beautiful moment for Alina, taking in what seems to be an omen to come, a good omen for her.
Nice. Does that reset your ruin down to a starting level?
Sure does.
Awesome. Cassian, what about you?
So Cassian has also made a lean-to, a little tent further out from the camp, somewhere quieter, somewhere near a small shrine to the old one of the forest that he's made. And um, when he gets there to rest for a little bit, he'll take off the mirrored armor and look at the damage to his back, and embedded in the skin is one of the crab's pincers. And he'll take that and consider it for a moment, and then just using a bit of twine, tie it over the door to his lean-to, the entrance.
Nice.
But I have another question.
Please.
So if my weather making magic ring is of limited use underground,
Yeah.
if I sell it, will my burdens go down? Because I
Yes.
took one burden
Yeah.
to keep it.
If it was a burden, your burdens are reduced. Yeah.
Yeah, then I will sell that for six. Well, it
Nice.
was worth 6 gold.
It was. Yeah. Yeah. That's fantastic. What are you gonna do with all that money?
That's going in my hoard.
Nice. What does that put your hoard at now?
21.
Nice. And it put your burdens down to like what, 2?
3.
3. Okay. Awesome. Well, that's great. I guess I'd just like to know what mark are you going to take on the horde?
Oh, yes. I will take. I'll take the how I'm getting closer to achieving my drive for 2 extra gold to win.
Nice.
And I think we see as Cassian is tying up that crab claw, there is a courier that will run past and hand Cassian a little note. And we'll see that he's actually been in touch with Malkuth's sibling at the fortress. And he's in correspondence to start working on breaking this siege. And so they're not there yet. They still have a lot of supplies they need, but it's a little closer.
Fantastic. Anything else for Hearthfire? Well, in that case, let's do stars and wishes.
Yeah, good to be back. It's been a minute. It's definitely one of those sessions where I was like, do I remember how to play games? I eventually got there. Um, just took a minute. Especially figuring out that, oh, we can actually swim in this lake. That was fun. But yeah, stars all around. Star to you, Jason. I already love the hirelings. You've already created like very distinct personalities, and also like there's already like a weird romantic subplot happening, which I'm very invested in now. Like, um, I'm really curious to see how that develops. And I think it's going to be really fun, even down here in Kalduhr. Um, Kazian being party dad, always a good time. And just sort of shutting down. I think was it Osto or Lotak, one of the two. But it was just the way that you were shutting them down was very fun to watch. And then the just Alina's defense of Osto as a capable bodyguard, I thought was very amusing. And also just sort of the implications at the beginning of like Alina just totally forgetting that Laura is blind, and probably just because she barely recognizes her as a person, because she barely recognizes anyone who isn't her as a person. Um, wishes. Yeah, I got a power game here because I'm very curious because yeah, this is my first time playing Kalduhr, but I figure as we go deeper, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And being already at 4 ruin, and being poor is going to be a bit of a hindrance unless I find more money. So I wish for better roles for myself.
Yeah, my stars and wishes are very, very similar. Um, Big stars for the I'm loving the Berwyn, Lortak and Laura like love triangle. It's so weird and delightful. And everyone just automatically leaning into it is just brilliant. There's a lot of fun there. I'm loving the hirelings. They're great to interact with. I love Cassian's interactions with them, especially. Cassian's interaction with the hireling that he hired, where you're like basically barely tolerating them. I mean, you barely tolerate Alina, but it's even less tolerating of the hirelings, and it's very entertaining to see. And I like the position that it ended up throwing Alina in at the very, very beginning with Laura being all like, "Oh well, have you ever thought that your old god of the forest is just superstition?" And then Alina having almost jumped in almost to Cassian's defense. Almost. That's the closest she's ever really come. Um, More to prove herself, better than Laura, but it still was there, and it was an interesting aspect. So I'm excited to look at how these hirelings are going to affect the relationships between these established characters already a little bit more. I'm super cough syrup brain right now, so I'm trying to remember other things. Um, there was a lot of really bad rolls, like really bad rolls. I didn't make a single hunt roll. Like no, I made them. I just didn't succeed on one. So I'm looking forward to some more terrible rolls, especially ones like the first two contest rolls that we had. Yeah, I'm imagining we're gonna die pretty soon. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, this was a really good start to the ruins, and I'm looking forward to getting deeper. Probably not much deeper, frankly, but it'll be nice to try. Um, I really like Osto. I really liked the interactions with all the hirelings. Jack, so much, so many flesh things. That was, yeah, that was great and awful. Um, I really liked the kind of puzzle elements of figuring out the way across there. It feels really obvious once it's all spelled out, but getting there was a little. I feel like we should have figured that out a little faster. We'll get there. We're rusty. Um, but yeah, that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed Alina's interactions. Looking forward to seeing just all the antipathy you're going to collect from the sisters that you love. And yeah, looking forward to seeing more stuff. Looking forward to getting Torum in there and seeing if poor Osto's still alive.
Yeah, I'm excited. Stars for yeah. I really enjoyed seeing these characters back in action. I enjoyed all the creative problem solving. This is such a dungeon crawly kind of thing, right? And that's not getting any different as we go further. So it is very. It has like a lot of OSR flavor, which I think is fun. We don't get to do that very often. Um, really digging all that, loving all the little dynamics between the hirelings and you all so far. Low tech is very fun to play. I'm enjoying low tech quite a lot. Osto is also very fun to play. Yeah, just good stuff. And I am really curious. My one wish is not so much a wish, but it's more of like a curiosity. Is one has to imagine as you get deeper and deeper into the roots of Old Kalduhr that the sisters have less and less power, right? Because they were not the faith of the Old Kalduhri, right? And so that's intriguing to me. It's intriguing to me like what that means for Alina and for Laura for that matter. And and so yeah, I'll be curious to explore that. And I'm just really excited to see for you all to kind of get into it because there's just so much cool stuff in Roots of Old Kalduhr. So, who knows how much you'll get to see. Hopefully you all stay alive to see a lot of it. But I mean, obviously we'll make new characters if they die, but I would like to see, Cassian's made such good progress. It'd be a real shame to lose Cassian at this point, right? Um, and so, I hope you're all able to keep your characters alive. But boy, the die roller, the die roller had different ideas today. The die roller was like, nope. It was that combat was brutal. It was really, really brutal. The one with the fungal crabs, so the one with the fungus crab things. So yeah, it was really good. I don't think I have anything else though. I'm just really happy. Obviously, really excited to have Rob back next time too. So, anything else before we go? In that case, let's just have a little quick coda. We see Osto asleep on his bedroll in the cave, and a little firefly lands on his nose. He bats it away. And then a few more fireflies land on his face. He kind of stirs a little bit, but he's still asleep. And then we see Grok looming over Osto. His big, wide face, bat ears, holding his firefly lantern as he crawls down the cave wall, looming over Osto. And he opens his mouth, and his tongue unfurls. And just prods at Osto's lips. And Osto kind of, eventually, his mouth falls open in sleep, and Osto's tongue worms its way, or Grok's tongue worms its way into Osto's mouth and throat. That's it. I will see you all next time. Bye, everybody.